Well, welcome back for another episode of the Chamber Podcast. This is episode number 110. My name is Rob Johnson. I'm your host. Joining me in studio today is Carol Kremer. She is the owner of Kremer Acupuncture, newly opened here in Brighton as of December of last year. Carol, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. So this is podcast number 1 for you. Is that right?
Number 1, very first one.
All right. We're doing a great job making you feel comfortable.
Absolutely.
I can see the anxiety coming down. You're going to be a natural by the time we're done here.
Okay.
So it'll be good. So reading over your bio a little bit, acupuncture is a very interesting field to me. As I was telling you in the pre-show, I know very little about it. Mm-hmm. So I'm very excited to learn from you, your industry, your passion for it, how you got into it. So let's start with that. How does one become, as it would be an acupuncturalist?
An acupuncturist.
Acupuncturist.
Yes,
I added a few more letters in there than needs to be. So how does one do that? And then what got you excited and encouraged to go into that field?
Yeah. So to become a licensed acupuncture, it's a 4-year master's degree. So it's quite a bit of a commitment in order to become licensed. Yes. And then there's also state licensure and then national licensure. I got into acupuncture. I had my very first acupuncture treatment in my early 30s, and I was amazed at what it did for me. I loved it. Also, I got interested in holistic health because my mother suffered from pretty severe health issues her whole life, and we lived on a farm. There really weren't very many options to help support her as she was going through all of these different illnesses, and I just knew there had to be something out there. So I really explored all the different modalities and really came to love the philosophy and the depth of acupuncture and Chinese herbal medicine.
Do you know a lot about the origin of acupuncture and how it came about?
Mm-hmm. So it's been around for over 3,000 years. That's when the first really in-depth documentation started. It was about over 3,000 years ago. Yeah. So China and East Asian countries, they've been really conducting live human experiments for 3,000 years. So they figured
makes sense.
they figured some things out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how you're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out on a cat. Cat's not going to tell you
Right.
if
Exactly.
So I have some family members who have used acupuncture, and they nothing but great things to say about it. I've also seen on the other side of things people talking about how it's fake medicine. It's not something that's going to be helpful. It's just kind of a sham. What do you say to people when they bring that up to you?
It's been around for 3,000 years. And for me, it's physical medicine. We are, we're really working directly with the nervous system. We're working with the brain to change the brain's perception of pain. So it's physical medicine. It's described with flowery language. It's described with ancient language. Yeah. It's described with language that was used before we had modern lab tests, lab results, before microscopes. So it's using the language of observation. So I think maybe that's part of where the disconnect is for people. They hear that flowery language and it's not translated well into English.
Yeah. I think another thing too is seeing the results.
Yeah. And
I'm sure that's something that's probably one of the most rewarding parts of what you do is seeing someone, during that initial consult and they're in rough shape and hurting and then, however long time they need, your services for, and seeing them at the end of it, that has to be something that's pretty incredible to see.
Oh, it is. Absolutely. I mean, just some of the stories. I had a patient just recently who he was retired, had back pain, played softball, was starting to really have problems playing softball as much as he wanted to. Yeah. So, of course he came, and as is typical, acupuncture is typically the last resort for people. They've tried everything else, nothing else works. So we're to use football, we're the Hail Mary pass.
Absolutely.
And so he came, went through the course of treatment, had great results. And at the end, he's like, oh, and by the way, I've had neuropathy. I've had numbness and tingling in my legs, for the past 30 years. Is there anything you can do? So we started working on that and treating that. And at the beginning, he couldn't even stand. His cat would brush by his leg. and it was just, excruciating for him.
Wow.
And by the time we, got through the course of treatment, he was able to, even after, a long period of time having that condition, we were able to improve it by 50%.
I have a line of questioning here that I promise I'm getting to a point. But where do most of your patients come from?
Most of my patients come from referrals. I have a lot of referrals, professional referrals from other chiropractors, doctors, other holistic modalities. So that's most. Do
you find that there's a lot of adoption with your industry with general practice, so MDs that are referring?
It's becoming definitely more frequent just because of the opioid crisis.
That's what I was getting to.
Yeah, the doctors don't have those opioid medications anymore, so they're also searching for solutions, and they're more open. I would say in the past few years or so, it seems to me there's been an opening up of that.
Yeah, why do you think? And this is something that has always puzzled me. Like, acupuncture was here long before the opioid epidemic, and Lord willing, it's going to be here long after the epidemic has been taken care of, hopefully. Why do you think that hasn't always been the first or second option, apart from obviously pharmaceutical companies and their lobbying and money and all of those things aside? Why do you think there hasn't been as much adoption of it in the Western world?
Well, I think it's relatively new here. In the States, it didn't come here until the 1970s.
Oh, really?
So it really is a relatively new modality. And, there are not very many colleges that teach acupuncture in the U.S., so there aren't very many of us licensed acupuncturists. So I think that plays a role.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about a standard patient that comes in. So someone comes in with, what's the most common ailment that people are coming to you for, if you had to average it out?
Back pain and neck pain.
So someone comes in with back pain. What does that treatment plan look like for someone? They might have a sciatica problem or, tight lower back.
Yeah. So that's one of the beauties of our medicine is that there is no one size fits all treatment plan.
Okay.
So we're looking at the entire person. It's just in Chinese medicine, that's what we do. There's no way for me to separate out your back pain from your neck pain, from the way your knees are functioning, your ankles. So when we treat, we're really looking at the entire body. We're also looking at your organ systems, because your organ systems are what nourish your back. It's what nourishes all of the muscles and the tendons and the ligaments. So we're also looking at that to see. So that being said, there's no one size fits all. So, it depends. If somebody's had a short-term problem, we might be able to, and they're young and healthy, and we might be able to resolve that, with just a couple of treatments. If somebody's had something for 20 years, that's going to take longer.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what has been, I know, HIPAA, privacy, all of that. I'm not looking for names and addresses. But what's been one of the more rewarding stories that you can share with someone that's used your services?
Oh gosh, I have so many.
I saw on your website you got a ton of them. People writing all over the place how awesome it is working with you. That's a high compliment when people are willing to do that.
Thank you. One of a really rewarding case was years ago. A woman in her 90s, and she had suffered from lockjaw. She wasn't able to open her mouth. So she had been for a year or so. She had been really having liquids through a straw, and she came to me and she had canceled all of her Thanksgiving plans because she didn't want to go to somebody's house and not be able to eat their food. And she came to me, and within just a couple of months, we were able to resolve that, and she was able to go to Thanksgiving.
That's incredible.
That was that was really rewarding for me.
That's good. She could leave the ninja at home and not have to chop everything up. That's awesome.
Exactly. She got to enjoy her time.
From a practitioner perspective, what does that look like when someone comes in? They say, I have TMJ. I can't get my mouth to open up. Mm-hmm. Like, is it difficult for you to say, well, in 2 months it's going to be remedied, or what is that? How do you explain that to someone?
Yeah. So with acupuncture, it takes time. It's not magic. It takes time. It takes repetition at the beginning. We're using the points to communicate with the brain, to tell the brain to increase blood flow to different parts of the body wherever we want. So if somebody's having neck pain, we're increasing that blood flow. So, and that reduces the inflammation. It brings nutrients to that area so that the body has the best chance of healing itself.
Okay.
So, that's essentially what we're doing. We're increasing blood flow, reducing inflammation. And when you do that, the body has what it needs.
Got it.
So, that it takes time. It takes repetition at the beginning.
Okay.
So, our first goal is always, that 30% reduction in pain. And then, once we hit that, then the next goal is 60%. So we just keep increasing that and we treat until we reach the patient's maximum improvement.
Okay.
As when that patient reaches their plateau, their maximum, then we start to wean them off.
Absolutely. Well, there's certainly no guarantees in medicine. Even in Western medicine, there's no guarantees that the treatment that people are leveraging are going to work long term. Do you find that most of the time patients that are using acupuncture, that whatever their ailment is, it's healed for some time or a long time, or it doesn't come back?
That's the beauty of it, because we're giving the body what it needs. That's our goal, is to actually not just replace function, which is what medications do. They replace the body's ability to keep the inflammation reduced. What we're working to do is to restore that function. So we often get lasting results, meaning, if I have patients who will come in for that initial set of treatments, and then we wean them off, and, they might have a flare. They might need a maintenance, once a month. They might come once a season. They might come, once their softball season starts and they tweak their back again. So, that's one of the beauties of it, is that we really have the ability to get lasting results for patients.
Love that. Okay. So I know from Ohio, moving to Michigan. So what prompted the move to, let's be honest, the better state in the Midwest?
Of course.
I'm kidding. Not kidding.
So I moved, my sister and her family, they've lived in Howell for 25 years. Especially after COVID, I just really wanted to be closer to my sister and her family and my niece. And I love this area. I've been coming up here for 25 years, and it's gorgeous. I love it. Yeah. So I made the decision, and I'm really happy to be here.
So when was the grand opening?
The grand opening was December 4th.
Excellent. How has it been in being in the Brighton business community?
It's been amazing. The Brighton Chamber has just been incredibly supportive. All of the activities are just so valuable to me. Being able to meet the community, being able to meet other business owners. As a business owner, you feel kind of alone out there.
Absolutely.
So being able to step into this community and to be so welcomed has, I can't even begin to explain how much it's helped and how much it means to me. So very grateful.
I love that. I love hearing that. I always tell people, if you're a new business owner in Brighton, if you take that first step into the community, whether it's networking or it's through the chamber or whatever it might be, you're going to find a lot of people who are going to be very excited about what it is you're doing, just because you're here. And that's what I've loved about being in this community for almost 5 years now, is everyone is very excited when new business comes to town, because it means we're all taking a step forward. We're all developing and growing in some small way together. So it's good to hear that that's still the case for new businesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and the chamber, I've always said, even though I know I'm the host of this podcast, but I always tell people exactly how I feel. So the chamber has been such a major influence in new business in the county, and I always will support and promote them. And Pam and her team do such a phenomenal job. See, Jillian, you can cut this as an ad for the chamber. You're welcome. Just cut that out. Run a Facebook ad behind it. You'll have membership flying in like crazy. So 2024 is just starting. So what are you most excited about? Obviously you're brand new in the county, just opened up, just over a month ago. What's 2024 looking like for you, Carol?
I'm just excited to treat more patients. I love what I do. Since, changing careers and changing directions in life, every single day I love going to work. And so I'm just looking forward to more of that.
Excellent. Excellent. So if someone wants to become a new patient, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
You can go to my website, KremerAcupuncture.com, Kremer spelled with an E. But I believe that information will be, you guys will post that. But yeah, go to the website and give us a call and schedule an initial consultation, and we'll get you started. We'll get you feeling better.
Fantastic. Well, Carol, how'd we do?
Great.
Episode number 1 for you.
my first one.
Excellent. Great job. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to share your business with us today.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. I appreciate all of you watching. If you want to know more about Carol and her business, check out the show notes for all of the information for her website, phone number, and how to become a new patient there. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Take care.